So this is Baruch here. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, getting set up here to look at the Sea of Wisdom again. Now this is really an up-and-coming tzaddik, this man. His followers call him a gon, they call him a tzaddik, and he has some deep stuff to say. Since the last time we were learning this, I had difficulty digesting what he was saying. What he was saying to me was that when you come to an awareness that Hashem is acting in your life all the time, and that you are always, let's say, so to speak, in his presence, that is a tremendous awareness. But he didn't say that. He said that when you have this awareness, you must learn, this Elul, a message for Elul, how to use that awareness to do tshuva. Previously, I thought that perhaps we mean that the awareness itself is a tremendous discovery, is to realize that Hashem is with me, I'm constantly in front of him. Who wants that? Because, you want to do your little selfish, lustful things. Over here, he says that right there, you come to an understanding that, in fact, that Hashem is in your life. Now, if you could get so that you saw this presence before you in all of your actions in this world, which is very difficult, which is what a real true tzaddik does. He says that's not enough to come to that level where you're like, the level is now that you have to use it as a springboard to come closer and to do tshuva. That's what he said. So now we're going to another place in his book. This book really is an Elul type book, but his ideas are running deep. At any rate, this is where he said. He said, to know how to laugh at one's failures. There are really no Yeridos. Just understand what he said. Everything goes wrong for you. It's just not really going wrong. He says, that's what he said. There are really no Yeridos, is meaning that things are not going right. But he says there's really no such thing. Now listen to what he says here. There's a deeper way then, through the path of humiliation, to reach the light of a higher spiritual perception. Now let's go back into it again. He had said about humiliation, I'm not sure I remember that from last week's year. It's the way of holy laughter, to learn to laugh at yourself. This is the most exalted level, he says. It's an aspect of, let's get this under where I can see it, of the level of Purim, when the complete yichud happens. Through it, a person on a low level can reach the level of a person who is on a much higher level, much closer to God. Now, it's not going into the Kabbalah of what happens on Purim, but basically, it is a tremendous light of Abba, of Chochmah, that shines for everyone. For example, when a child pretends that he's an adult, it's comical, and one laughs, because everyone knows that a child can't be an adult even if he tries to. Similarly, if a simple person comes before the king and then pretends to be the king, everyone will burst out laughing. Even the king himself would be laughing. But now that the king is laughing, the simple person is becoming connected to a higher and more prestigious level, because he is standing before the king. And he just says that imitation. So what does he mean by imitation? This pertains to all of us as well. This month, in Elul, now, the avoda of a Jew is to break his heart, regret his deeds, and be ashamed for his sins and failures. But amidst this avoda, one must remember the concept of the holy laughter, which is that a Jew never really has any dissent in the world. You're not really going into a place which is bad, where everything is going wrong. And that there's no such thing as a Yerida. The fact is, there is no such thing. You're really not going through a Yerida. Well, how's that? Even when he thinks he has fallen and failed, it is all a joke. It's all the will of Hashem that through feeling the suffering and pain over one's sins, one shall return to him with greater intensity. After one does tshuva, he rises to a higher, more exalted level than before he sinned. So we have fallen into darkness. Happens over and over and over again. We are constantly putting in this situation. Can we come back and use that to be able to bring us back even closer to the Holy One, blessed be He? So he says, thus, every Jew doesn't have to become too brokenhearted over his sins and that his avodas Hashem isn't going well. So he says, what? He said, when your avodas Hashem is not going well, shouldn't be too brokenhearted about it. Although one certainly should want to do tshuva, and that all his slichos and the philos have the desired effect amidst true tshuva. However, he must know that he cannot complete his tshuva and avodas Hashem alone. He must strengthen himself with the knowledge that all Yeridos are for the purpose of a greater ascent. And this is a principle of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, that the falls in our mentality can become a springboard for bringing us the light of Hashem. Wow, how? And that's where he talks about his bodhidas. But he says, particularly here, he says, we're doing tshuva. Tshuva in Kabbalah is called mayim nukvin, female waters. The concept of the female is the concept of an empty womb, of the needing of to be able to produce, the one to be able to have energy in order to be able to create. That need can only be filled and fulfilled by the light of Hashem. That's the basic message. That's the main message of this world. The Sulam refers to the word Kabbalah to mean ratzon lekabel, the desire to receive. It's magnetic. It's constantly going on. That's what makes the world. What's gravity? All the rest makes the world into the concept of Yerida. Why is the Yerida? In order to be able to bring it back to the source. That's what he's saying. And he says, on a deeper level, there are no Yeridas at all. Then you can be mighty and firm in avodas Hashem and not fall into the failures because you realize there really isn't any place to go in this world. Pain and humiliation that come over him in moments of lack of success. I personally myself, I can lose my temper or get upset about things that are absolutely trivial. That's just my nature, and that's what it happens. It's not a good thing, and it's humiliating to see me do that. But at the moment, he's suggesting to us that we have to understand these are ways that we can look back on the mistakes that we make and not trivialize them, but be able to use them and examine ourselves carefully in avodas Hashem. He says the Maggid of Mezrich explained the concept of the holy laughter with the following parable. So let's hear this story. He says a father was once playing with his son. At first the father showed himself to the son and laughed with him. So he showed him. I don't know what that means. Then the father hid himself from his son. So first he was there, then he hid himself. The child then began to cry and yell, "Where are you, father? Where are you?" Then the father revealed himself to the child, and they started laughing again and even more than before, because what does he mean? He says, similarly, every Jew must know that Hashem is always found with him, and all failures and descents that he has gone through are always for the purpose of ascending higher than before. This concept here is the fall, in order to find your level of emptiness. What does it mean? It means what you really need in your life, and to pray for that. The health of your children, for your panasa, so you take care of your family, whatever it would be. Fending off all kinds of things like the government, who knows what else. He says there and before, so a higher level than before. And Hashem has great nachas ruach, satisfaction, when a Jew knows that he is always found with him in any situation and wherever he turns. So before, in another place, I saw that he had been saying that these efforts that we make in order to become close to Hashem, even though we fail at them and we find ourselves getting upset about this or that, or this or that, or this or that, and the pressures that we have all the time, this can be used as the greatest springboard of all. In Kabbalah, it's called mayim nukvin. We just simply know it as tshuva. This is Baruch Fleischman.